We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order this evening. It's good to see everybody. The first item that is on our agenda is the public hearing to discuss proposed text amendment to our land development code. So, Mr. Wilmot, I'll turn that over to you.
Council, after doing some research, this is not really a zoning decision, so we don't have to go through the zoning procedures law. So I'm just going to open this up for a public hearing without going to the qualifying questions. But tonight we're having a public hearing on a proposed text amendment to the Land Development Code, which is Chapter 4, Section 4.03.31D1, which would modify the distance requirements for tattoo parlors or body piercing establishments. The proposed amendment is to provide for that a tattoo parlor cannot be located within 1,000 feet of a property zoned for residential uses. That's a change from what it currently is, where it's a tattoo parlor cannot be located within 1,000 feet of a parcel that is either used or zoned for residential purposes. So the change basically is to make it 1,000 feet from property that is zoned for residential uses. I'm going to open this up for public comment. Is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of the proposed text amendment? Is there anyone here that would like to speak in opposition to the proposed text amendment? Mayor and Council, I see no public comment. I ask the public hearing to be closed.
Okay, thank you, Rob. All right, we will now go into our workshop agenda, and item number 1 is the proposed text amendment to the LDC. Houston, let you make your presentation.
Mayor, Council, as Mr. Wilmot went over, the change is basically dropping the use of residential and only keeping residential zoned. On November 7th of this year, the Planning and Zoning Commission heard the change and approved unanimously.
Okay. Any discussion, any questions? Wes, do you want to?
I guess I'll start it off. You know, I'm not in favor of that. I guess the change, for simple fact is that is a neighborhood, you know. That mobile home park does have 30-ish mobile homes, and it has some maybe 50, 60 individuals that live out there in that place.
This one of the fans is making a funny noise, so.
But anyway, you know, I believe in the sanctity of keeping the neighborhood vibrant. That is a neighborhood, and by changing that would change it would affect that neighborhood. I don't think any of the members on this commission or council has touched base with any of the folks that live out there to see if they would even be in favor of this change.
But it's zoned general business. It is not it have to be some residences within a general business zone. So we're not, you know, the problem before was didn't want to put it in a residential area. I absolutely agree with that. But an area zoned general business that has other businesses there, and I just don't distinguish between, I won't say Lucky Spa, but I'll say Lucky Spa and the tattoo parlor being next door to each other. I mean, general business is general business, and because they happen to live in a general business zone, you know.
Was that always general business, or was that changed when we adopted the land development code?
I know that when the designation of general business, prior to that it was not, but I don't know that the land development code.
So it's not always been general business?
No, it was mobile home park / residential.
Its original purpose was for residential use. Now let me ask you this, on that mobile home park, when you permit anything, is it permitted by commercial use or is it residential use?
Residential use.
So, all right, so is anything about that park not is it anything permitted commercially?
No, sir. Everything's residential, from the individual mobile homes to anything that the park does.
It's all residential.
Are those individually owned mobile homes, or are they leased? And it's
Both.
okay.
There are people that own them, there are people that lease them.
Because I didn't know that might, you know, if it's all leased, that would really, to me, be a little bit more of a business type situation. But I see what you're saying, Wes, with regard to those. It is, whether you lease it or own it, it's your home.
That's a neighborhood.
Yeah, it's a
That's a neighborhood. And kind of wish Johnny was here because it's in his district, I believe. I'd like to hear his take on it, but, you know, that's just my 2 cents. I mean, I think of,
Well, if y'all like to, I don't know if it's permissible, but we could certainly make, maybe move this farther down on the agenda to allow for his discussion and input if you'd like. I have not talked to Johnny, so
I don't know, is he?
I don't know. that-
This won't be on for a vote until December. This is just a discussion for tonight.
Can we move it down maybe on the
Could we-
list
yeah,
until
could
he
we
Oh, I
just-
see
gets
what
his?
you
For
mean.
Johnny to be involved in
Sure.
this
Yeah.
discussion, so.
Because this would be something that would affect his district.
That's
so.
great. Why don't we do that? Why don't we, if everybody's okay with that, let's just, maybe give Johnny, 10, 15 more minutes to get here. We'll come back to it. And
You
then
want to do
have
1
further
and 2,
discussion.
move 1 and 2?
Yeah,
then?
let's do that if everybody's okay with that. So we'll just continue moving along, starting with item number 3 until Johnny comes in. And if it gets, we get on through most of the agenda, we'll pick up the discussion if he's not gonna be here tonight. All right, the next item is the resolution approving a 3% COLA for eligible retirees, and that's Hunter Walker.
Yes, ma'am, is in your backup, there's a plan calls for a 3% COLA for the employees, but they're only the employees that retired at full retirement age, which is the 65 or 65.
Okay.
And I believe that she noted that there were 29 of those eligible applicants. It doesn't, if you went out prior to 65, you don't get a COLA with your retirement. It's a one-time, it never changes. And so this is just for those that defer retirement, for whatever purpose, reason, didn't retire at 65.
There are some folks that have 3% COLA that automatically entitled to it. These are for the ones that came on the new plan that then have to be voted on to get the 3%
Gotcha.
COLA.
Okay. Does that make sense? Anybody have any questions?
Is it a 3% every year, or does it adjust from year to year?
It's,
Now the COLA.
you vote on it 3% every year.
So it's always a 3% that comes.
So it's not like, it's not like that it's a 2% or.
That's what I was
depending
wondering,
on
is
some kind of cost of living index.
My understanding is that you vote 3% or nothing. Is that kind of what you're asking?
Yeah, I was wondering, does it tie to the index or whatever, or does it change every year?
I think it's just, I
Always
believe it's just
3%.
3% up or down.
Now, it was $200-ish dollars change, or what, is that per month or is that per year?
Per year.
That's per year.
I think it was 870, she noted that it was 876.30 for 29
Okay, maybe that's,
retirees.
I thought when I was talking with Carla, I thought she indicated it was like $200 a year, but I don't have the packet in
I
front
wonder
of
if
me.
that's for the entire.
So it's a month, $200 a month?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Here's what you
As I
say.
say, I mean, it's just
Yeah. And I guess the other, the 12 get
The 207. Let me just see this.
You need to get you logged in, or you got it?
I think what they're voting on is just 207.97.
Right.
But, the people that are automatically entitled to it.
Must be the
plus
remainder.
Right, so we got 12 that are under the new, have to be voted on plan, right?
okay.
So we got 12 to be voted on, and a total of 29 who received 3%. All right, and then the cost increase for those 12 was 207.
Yeah, and so West read it right.
Yeah, so but you got 12, you got 29 that are gonna get it automatically into the old plan.
Right.
And you got 12 that are under the new plan that you vote on the 3% COLA every year. And of those 12, that would be $207, my understanding, a year for those 12.
All right,
You got 29 that get it automatic.
I guess we vote on it.
Well, anyway, you're gonna vote on it, the
December.
Right, right.
What's the expected cost of living increase next year?
Cost of, that would be determined by us.
I mean, no, I mean, overall, like, what's Social Security, what is that? If they come out with Social Security,
Oh, cost of living for
Increase would be
Social
that.
Security?
I don't
Or,
know.
yeah, which is generally the,
There's an index that goes by, but I'm not sure of the name, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, it kind of represents, I think what Frank was probably getting at, is it always 3%? The
Yeah.
expected cost of living is 2.
Is it
Why
consumer
would we do
something? I
3?
can't remember what it's
We
called.
got to get some kind of.
CPI's Consumer Price Index or something like that?
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
But we've traditionally done 3 each year, correct? Yeah.
We'll check, but, you know, I would assume that's what the plan calls for. Of course, it would have been in place when that would have been considered.
Yeah, but we need to see what those, I mean, I can appreciate that, you know, 3, 3, 3, but, you know,
Right.
if costs aren't supposed to go up 3, then why would we do that? I mean, somewhere we've got to get a hold of this
Exactly.
financial thing and not just because we've done 3.
Okay. Any further discussion? Any other questions? Good? Okay. The next item on the agenda is discussion of proposals received for the traveling bridge filter, and that is Pete.
Thank you, Mayor. Council, before you, we have some pictures of the traveling bridge sand filters. And it, do you have those up? They come through? Right here. While he's doing that, this is a component of the wastewater treatment plant, and obviously an essential step in the overall treatment of wastewater. And due to its complexity and scope, the last 3 months, ESG and engineers have been discussing what the best approach for this is going to be. Thank you. What type of filters and what type of system Tifton would be obviously, you know, better use for, and then how this is going to be incorporated into the current system itself. So this has been around for 6+ years. And obviously in the capital spending for the last 2 or 3 years from what I know. But this is the bridge filter, and the easiest way to explain it, it's like a huge Brita filter for water. And as the wastewater is treated, it goes through a process. This is the second from the last step before the water goes into the river. So by the time it hits the rivers, it's cleaner than actually the river water itself. So this sand filter, it's a filtration system, and it's again a real important process. And looking back about 6 years ago, these particular filters reached the end of their lifespan. And you can see they're out of order. So what's happening now? This whole system in the water is bypassed. It's still safe as it reaches the river, but this is a really important step. So when you talk about solids, when you're talking about going into the river system, EPT obviously is involved in these steps. And one of the biggest fears that we have is right now our permit and the way we're treating wastewater doesn't require this particular filtration system. However, next month, the EPD could come and say, we want you to do this and put this step in place, and we would have to be mandated to do that. So we're a little ahead of it. This is, again, part of the overall treatment system, so we believe that it is something that it is essential, part of the plant, and we believe it needs to come back online as an operation for the overall plant itself. As I stated, this has been approved in the capital budget for $600,000, but the low bid, because of a couple years ago, the low bid were a little over, and I think Jessica had some updated numbers for you in your packet. We want to put a couple mud paddles in, some of the equipment that needs to go along with this. So the low bid came in at $749,104. So we're somewhat over what's approved in the capital. And then some of the pros and cons, obviously, I mentioned the essential component, and this being out for years, it's really important that this is put back into place. Our staff, putting back what this recommendation is, the exact same type of sand filter. So our staff is really familiar with it and understand the operation. And then due to again, the time, Tommy Coker and Jerry West would obviously be in charge of the implementation of this and see it through if you decide to go forward with it. So, and they are here. Those two gentlemen, Jerry's on the maintenance side and Tommy runs the plant each and every day. If you have any more technical questions, but that is really all in a nutshell. That we're ready to do it if you are. There's a couple things that I have to check with Karen and Hunter on the financial piece on the sewer budget for the SPLOST. We have not spent any significant money in there this particular year, so I think we'll be fine. So the decision is really up to you if you want to go forward with this. If you do not, we're perfectly safe. Our permit says we do not have to have this, but at any particular month or next year, EPD could say, City of Tifton, you have to implement this, and we'd be on the scramble to get it done. So we've put a lot of thought into it, and from the engineers to Tommy and Jerry, there's been a wide variety, and you can see the bids. You know, they've went past $1 million to include systems that are much more fancier than this, but this is the basic model, and we feel this would be the best thing for the city and the plant to go forward. So
And that's,
with that,
having that will bring us into compliance should they come knocking on the door
Yes.
saying that. So,
We're in compliance right now.
I mean, we're in compliance, but if they come in and say you need this extra layer, that's gonna be what does it. That's what you're saying.
that's correct.
But why? Since it wasn't required before, any idea of why was it put in to begin with?
Yeah, Tommy, you want to come up and talk about, there's certain levels that we have to test for, things that we have to take out before it hits the water, and for instance, phosphorus levels. So if this filtration system didn't capture that, the EPD and our permit currently says you don't have to capture, or you don't have to have a part per million for this particular element now. And what we want to make sure we're prepared for in the future, if that happens, then we have the filtration system in place.
But my question is, it wasn't required. It's something was, this equipment was put in and it was not required by the permit.
Years
I'm
ago.
hearing you
Is
correctly.
that right? Tommy, can you help me on that one?
Well, when the plant was built, they approved the plant design. They consider that part as your permit, the whole design of the plant. So when one component is not working, they consider you in non-compliance because you're bypassing a
That
permitted
was-
part of the plant.
That was my second part. My experience is when, even though the permit didn't call for it, because you had it,
Yes.
it becomes in there. Then when you don't have it, now you're in trouble
They
because.
consider, it depends on, every inspector you get is gonna be different. One says, well, you're treating the water fine, the water's clean, but this part is supposed to be working, it needs to be working.
That's my concern, because you didn't have to put it in there to begin with. But once you did,
You're
now you got
You're
it.
required to keep it running.
You're probably gonna have it.
All right, is this component, is it apart because of how many users we have, or is it just, or does that doesn't even matter? Like you saying the EPD could come in and say, now you need to start filtering this, is it because of so many users?
The rest of the plant treats the effluent to where it's clean enough to meet our permit limits for solids and removal. So far as the limits, what we test each day, it's in compliance. The only complaint they would have if they come in and see it not running and we're bypassing, then they would say, well, this process is supposed to be running. You know, you don't need it to treat the water. It's supposed to be running, so you need it to be, and they'll say,
Right.
you have.
How long has it not been in operation?
6 years.
How many times has the EPA came and did a check?
Twice. And each time we told them we just put it in the SPOS budget. For a few years.
So we need to come up with $150,000.
Exactly.
All right. Yeah, because if we're telling them we're doing it, we need to do it. Or they're gonna really, yeah.
For 6 years.
The environment's the
All right, and so now let's talk about this now. You guys are looking at our SPOS money to see what is available for us if
They were-
$150,000.
Right, and Pete's right, in your SPOS budget, you had some set for the water, some set for the sewer. You've not spent nor obligated, as best I can tell, any for the sewer.
That's correct.
Now, obviously, the water, the first obligation that I've really found has been the
20th Street.
20th Street. We probably have taken the sewer line with the Taco Bell out of there, but that's a insignificant amount of money. So there should be the funds there, but we'll have that breakdown for you before your meeting.
Okay, before we vote on it, okay.
Oh, absolutely.
That's-
You're
yeah,
not
absolutely.
voting tonight, this is just.
Yeah, it's just discussion, but, you know.
And remember, I will say, of course, the plant was there for Tommy and Paul May, I was there, and again, that's just the technology that the engineering put in place, and it's all part of the whole, you know. You got to get your bugs that they can effectively eat the material, and so again, I think that if you ever had to go to the advanced treatment, wastewater treatment, then this will enable Tifton to meet that. And really, in a lot of places, I know Florida pushes a lot of that, especially if you're doing surface water discharge into a small, well, relatively small body that this is. So I'm just saying
Because of the impact of what, I want to make sure you're informed of this, number one, but number two is I was going to contact the county and make sure that they're informed of this, because obviously on the sewer side, this impacts them, and then with the contractual, making sure that they understand what we're doing and why, so I'll be glad to do that.
What's the lead time on this?
For this, we are ready to go, once it's approved, Evoqua. They're standing by.
6 months?
Yeah, so we're probably talking about, I would say 6 months, is that right?
Okay, any other questions? Everybody good? Okay, thank you. Pete, go ahead and go about on, you've got a report on the LMIG grant application.
Okay, I'll do, let me first by sharing some great news when you talk about LMIG. I did receive word today that paving is scheduled to start Monday, and we'll be starting on Alder Street, moving to Commerce Way, and then the streets from the list will complete, and I'll have the exacts for you here just in a couple days. So that's exciting, and that's an LMIG project, and we're ready to get those done. So I know you are too. This particular one is really just needs some guidance that we've Hunter and I have talked about it, and this is for 2017 LMIG for the grant, and the grant is due January 1 of 2017. And the state gives us X amount of money. In this particular case, it's $215,364 for the city for paving. And if we want to turn this around, everything has to be in by that date. That's pretty aggressive. The list is there in your packet, so you could see the streets. But what I'd like to do, if with your permission, depending on your decision, I'd like to scan those with John Shepard, our engineer, and actually provide you some grading through DOT specs as to the condition of the streets themselves. And the grading is the A, B, C, D, and there's certain criteria that they have to meet. And the roads that are absolutely the worst, I'd sure like to tell you that, and then obviously as they get better and better, they could stay on the list. But I think you really need to know what the priorities are for the worst streets in Tifton, so we could make wise decisions. If you like to do that,
how long will that take, you think?
I would probably need I'd probably need about 2-3 months to do that.
Okay.
To survey them correctly.
Makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But I need your decision. We could press forward and we can make it happen by January 1, or we could waive it off and combine it into 2018. So we'll have 2 LMIGs. The state allows us to do that. So we'll have double the money and a really solid project list to do that with. And now obviously the rules have changed a little bit, where you could actually take LMIG money and go beyond resurfacing, doing sidewalks and some other type of roadway projects. So that could be another option for you as well.
Would expanding roads allow for bike path routes and things like that be included?
Sidewalks, let me see if I can find the language real quick. Jessica, I didn't bring my LMIG
It is,
packet.
I think it's in their packet. Look, on the,
Is it in the back? I'm sorry, I should.
it's the, after this page, it would say at the very top, local maintenance and improvement grant, LMIG program, general guidelines and rules. The number 2, all of those things are uneligible, so.
Oh,
And
okay.
the number 1 would be anything that's eligible to be used.
All right.
So you're talking about walking trails and, no.
Or like bike, on the side, on the
Just a
side
bike
of the road,
path
like
along the
bike
side of the
lanes,
road,
bike
bike
lanes,
lane,
or
yeah.
something like that.
It doesn't look like they address that, but we could, if that's something that y'all are interested in, we can contact them and see.
Yeah.
I don't know if, the only thing they have here is I don't know if they would put that under beautification or streetscape.
It'd be
I mean, we
tough,
can
it'd probably
ask if
stretch.
that's something that y'all want to consider.
Yeah. Okay.
So you're just saying on any road or any of the main
Well, I
roads,
mean,
if we wanted to
I
add
think,
that?
gosh, what's that, I feel bad not on that
Taggart?
group's name.
The Taggart?
Yes, Taggart, yeah. I mean, they've spent a lot of time, a lot of energy on trying to get more, bike lanes, for folks who want to ride bikes, throughout the city or whatnot. Just kind of, if that's a part of it, maybe we try to incorporate, where we can.
Right.
If I recall, we used to have some bike lanes designated on certain streets, like,
Yeah, we
I think on
did.
Second
Down
Avenue.
Carpenter Road, yeah,
Parts of
one
Second
Carpenter.
Avenue
Yeah,
and other
one.
places. I don't know what happened with that. But I think once time we repaved, we didn't put them back
Just
in.
didn't go back, yeah.
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 Didn't one go down like Rainwater?
Yeah, there was one, I think there was one down Rainwater too at one time.
Some of the places that haven't been repaved, you can still see them.
So anyway, yeah, if we could just look at it.
Do
So
we
the
need to go ahead and give you
pleasure
some
of the
guidance on, a grant in 2017 or 2018?
Yeah, what's the pleasure of the council? If you want to
It
waive it
sounds
off?
like to me it might be best just to wait to 2018
I
and
mean, I kind of agree too. I mean, that would
I
give us
think
more
that's
time
what-
to grade the roads. It would give us more time to come up with
with a comprehensive list and everything.
more due
yeah.
diligence.
Yeah.
Would be better use of the money, so. Sounds
Okay.
like,
All right, well,
But the rules are changing in 218, is that what you're saying?
no, they've changed already. They just have made some adjustments on the usage of money, so they're out and we'll check on, what you can and what you can't do, but it just gives you a little more leverage, and if you put two LMIGs together, you got a pretty good pot of money. And I think, we're going to pay 5-6 streets plus now, so the public is going to get the benefit of LMIG this year.
We would need to send them and say, we accept the LMIG.
as you are looking at streets, can you just think about that redevelopment area?
I can check and see if we have
Sure.
identified.
Sure can.
Okay.
And then lastly, this is not on the agenda, but I think it's important enough to share with you. Tommy and Andy and Jerry, we're watching this very close, but EPD just put out a notice today. EPD elevated the drought response, and it's getting very, very serious, obviously, in the North Quadrant, especially in Alabama and northern Georgia. But right now, Tift County is not in the drought area, so all our wells, all our levels, and what we're experiencing so far is right on target, and we're not seeing any dips as of right now. But we'll keep you posted if they enact that and go in full swing. But it's going to get, obviously, if we don't get any rain, it's going to get real serious.
Yeah, I saw the map. It's getting closer to us. I think it's like 3 or 4 counties away from us now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pete. Do y'all want to go back to the discussion on the tattoo parlors at this point?
Sure.
Johnny, what we did, we wanted to wait for you to be here. We moved items number 1 and 2 till you were here so that you could participate in the discussion. This is on the text amendment for the tattoo parlors. So we had started some discussion. We already had the public hearing prior to our meeting, and Houston had made a presentation, and Wes had made a few comments. But we wanted, since this is in your district, we certainly wanted you to be part of the conversation. So just kind of, you want to kind of reiterate what you were saying,
Yeah, I mean,
Wes?
I'll just kind of, John, I don't know how you feel, but I do know this is in your neighborhood, or in your district, excuse me, not neighborhood, but district. Being that that's a neighborhood right there, you got families, you got 50 or 60-ish people that live there. I believe in a neighborhood, the sanctity of a neighborhood. It has a purpose in our community. And I've talked to Houston, and all of the things that are permitted, if anything's ever permitted with that particular parcel, is permitted by residential use. And by striking the word out in use and just saying zoning, pretty much shuns that neighborhood, in my opinion. And,
Except that it's zoned general business.
but it was zoned general business.
The mobile home park? It's in it's zoned general business.
It was zoned general business when we went to the Land Development Code, and we adopted that in 2011. Prior to that, that was a residential use. Hence why we have residential use or use or zoning aspect in our Land Development Code, because you do have a lot of parcels that have changed to general business. You have some off of 13th Street that are now general business that is in a predominant neighborhood.
But it's surrounded by businesses. I mean, this isn't like,
A mobile home park it's its own zoning, you can be
but I mean, there's
an island.
businesses everywhere. It's not like this is the only, now we're trying to put a business next to a mobile home park, and there's no other businesses. There are businesses all around. I mean, you got the bowling alley, you got various other ones that we know about. It's a matter of which type of business. I mean, are there other businesses that can't go into general business besides a tattoo parlor? I mean, what else is restricted? I don't understand why there's a restriction on tattoo parlors, but I guess to you, Houston, what other businesses are restricted from going into general business?
We don't have a table to cover that, sir. You'd have to tell me what it was, and I can tell you whether or not.
Whether it's restricted? I mean, that's my point, Johnny, is you got the Lucky Spa, you got all these other businesses. I don't see a difference in them since it's zone general business. It's not zone residential, it's zone general business. That's my.
Well, the lady from the health department.
Yeah. Jill Reed.
Yeah, she talked about that.
Yeah, her comment was she would prefer that we allow these businesses, be a little less restrictive on these businesses so that they could be regulated by her department, by the health department, so.
And I think that's the same, I kind of go like that too. We need them to be restricted, but we're looking at, town and country mobile home park.
Yeah.
This is, these people been living there for 30 years. I mean, and if we, somehow I don't think that, maybe, did we ask those people if they want that thing?
Well, that's what Wes
That's
had
exactly
said.
what I said. I said, has anybody even talked to these folks to say, how will this impact your neighborhood?
We just giving these people what we think. You know, we tell them, okay, well, and see, we work for those people.
Yeah.
You know, we are elected by those people, so Mayor, why don't you just, I'll do it. We want you to appoint me to just, let's just go over there and talk to the residents
Sure.
there.
I mean, we've
What
got
is that-
time.
What is that going, I guess, what is that going to take? You going to take a vote amongst the?
Well,
against,
I think Johnny's just looking for some input, that's all,
But-
just some input from those residents.
Yeah,
But I would ask
let's
you-
talk to those people.
Did you
We
ask
said-
them, when you put the Lucky Spa in, did they want that there?
Maybe they.
Well, tell me about the Lucky Spa, Jack.
Well,
no,
We
but-
keep bringing the Lucky Spa.
It's there.
What
It
part
is-
of the Lucky Spa do you say is such a bad thing?
What part of a tattoo parlor do you say is such a bad?
I'm
I don't
asking
see a
you
difference
because
between the two.
you're saying a tattoo parlor and then you keep bringing them Lucky
I
Spa.
see no difference between the two.
Well, let me say this.
One's there. Why
We've
can't
got,
you have it?
we've got
The massage
roughly-
parlor, is massage parlor, is it a regulated business by the Department of Health? You don't know that?
They have a license.
Do you know?
They have to be state licensed by.
Yeah.
So it's regulated by
People that
the
do the massage, they have to be licensed by the state.
state.
Well,
So
we've got 2 weeks before we have to vote on this. This will come up at our December meeting
Yeah.
for vote. I do respect Johnny's request, as to just have some conversation with his constituents. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
And I think that we just, personally me,
Mm-hmm.
you know, ever since we just sitting there and said, well, okay, y'all, there you go, we gonna
Yeah.
put a tattoo parlor over here in your neighborhood without asking the people that live there.
Well, and we'll
I don't
have
have
the
a problem with
opportunity for further discussion what's on the agenda in December, and then we'll vote and put it to rest. So that gives time
Yeah.
to maybe walk through and visit with some of the neighbors and see, and gives us time to continue our research, and then we'll be voting on it in December. And then any information that you have that comes to light as a result of, or that, if you want me to help you, whatever that goes, through those conversations, we can certainly share with the council.
Yeah,
So,
let's do that.
so that.
Yeah,
that
and
part-
what bothers me in this whole discussion is that we seem to be treating tattoo parlors differently than most any other business in town.
Yeah.
And I don't really see a reason to do that.
Well, and that's sort of what brought this whole thing up
Just,
6 months ago, whenever it was, so.
I mean, historically, this is the way it has been.
Right.
If you go back before we, adopted the land development code, we had this 1,000-foot restriction as we have it now. And then when we adopted the land development code, and I think we'll be addressing this in a minute, we added the 300 feet on the alcohol. So, you know, this distance requirement that we're discussing now has been around for a long, long time in our code, even before the land development code. For whatever reason, they did it back then, so I understand y'all revisiting it now. I just want to let you know, this has been around for a while.
Yeah, I know it has.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense in today's world, I don't think.
Sorry.
Because what had happened, just so you, the tattoo parlors were originally just restricted in commercial adult zones. And then when we adopted the land development code, no, after we adopted the land development code, we revised that to allow tattoo parlors in WLI, general business, and where else, Houston? Tattoo parlors, WLI, GB, and what else?
GB, NC, and WLI.
Right. So that was at the instance of council before, Julie, you were on the board then, and we wanted to expand it, in which we did. And then that's when we added in the 300 foot and the 1,000 feet as we had before. So that's where we've been historically.
And we restricted in commercial downtown, right? It is not permitted in commercial downtown. Yeah.
And to answer Mr. Folk, there are, on our table of uses in the LDC Chapter 2, you can't have a personal care home, you can't have a group home, you can't have an adult entertainment establishment, you can't have a private or for-profit ambulance service, you can't have a cemetery, you can't have a funeral home. I mean, there's different things that you can't have, and then there's other things that have what we call special conditions, which you have to meet another set of guidelines on top of also. So a business is just a business. The LDC don't have it laid out that way.
You can't have a cemetery.
Camp, cemetery, and general business. That's right.
You can't be, there's certain, you gotta follow,
You got a cemetery,
Section
I say, the
49.
residential. What about you, John?
So what?
I say the Oak Ridge Cemetery right there next to,
Yeah.
it's probably not zone general business, but right next to the house.
But that's grandfathered in. That's not, it wasn't put there.
There's special conditions for that.
Gotcha.
I hear you.
Okay, any further discussion? That'll give time to have some conversations with some neighbors, and we'll vote on it in December. So I think we've got all the information that we need. So, okay, you good with that?
Yeah, I'm good with that.
Okay. Okay. All right, let's go back and get back on track with our numbering on our agenda. We're at number 6, review of bids for the downtown streetscape phase 3. Hunter.
Mary, did you want to address the 300 foot?
Can we
Oh,
have
I'm
that
sorry.
discussion about that?
I'm sorry, I totally skipped that. Yes, we can. I'm sorry.
Why would
can.
we have that? Why are we going to play Big Brother and keep adults from going to have a drink and then go get a tattoo? That is the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I don't understand.
We're gonna get drunk and go get a
Well,
I think the rule is that if you can make it 300 feet, you're not too drunk to get a tattoo.
Sounds like a good rule to me. Leaving it in place.
Lord.
But actually, I mean, that's my recollection, those that they didn't want to locate next to a place that served alcohol because people might get intoxicated and then go next door and get a tattoo. That was my understanding
Okay, well,
of the
let's-
basis of that, of the reasoning that council proposed.
Does this then bring into play the map that we looked at?
Yes, but I left it in the truck. Yes,
Oh.
it really does.
That takes care of your problem.
Yes.
Well, see, if you eliminate, I mean, I could probably be on board with eliminating it, but if you keep the use, going back to the one we just got off of, if we keep the use and zoning of residential property, you can reduce, and not only that, allow it in commercial downtown. I mean, you open it up more spots, that's what you want, is to open up more places. Allow it in commercial downtown. I mean.
Can I just add one thing to the 300-foot rule?
Tattoo parlors.
The concern, and I think it's a legitimate concern, as far as locating another establishment that's next to a tattoo parlor. It's, you know, what came first, the chicken or the egg? If you wind up, let's say, with a tattoo parlor that may locate where, you know, there by the Lucky Spa, whatever that spa is, then perhaps you could not have an establishment that served alcohol that may be just down the road. So I think the biggest problem in my mind from a business standpoint is that if you have a tattoo parlor, then all of a sudden you're drawing a circle, 300-foot circle around that tattoo parlor that's going to exclude a restaurant or something like that.
Right.
That's the biggest problem I see with the rule as it is now.
Well, and
That's
that's.
why
Yes.
West
West
has a
is
pretty
map.
map, and it said you
Yeah.
couldn't, if we did the tattoo parlor, then you couldn't get it. In the future, you couldn't put a restaurant or anything else that served alcohol, which didn't make
Several
any
spots,
sense.
several
Yeah.
spots on Magnolia. you
It
couldn't
really,
get to.
it really prohibited future development of some pretty significantly sized parcels that would be ideal for restaurants and pubs and things. So it would exclude them being able to develop, including that entire shopping center where the Walmart was originally, which is now Big Lots and Cercheros, and where all of that would be located now. So if, for example, Cercheros came and said that they wanted to have a license to sell beer, they could not, because this, you
That's
know,
why
we
we
allow.
need,
yeah.
that's why we need to eliminate it.
Yeah.
And the only reason I bring up Lucky Spa is because this tattoo parlor wants to locate next to the Lucky Spa.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would not mention Lucky
A
Spa.
masseuse, right? Or are you talking about the other business?
There's a business there, in general business.
That is illegal, the one that you're
Okay,
focusing your
gentlemen.
attention on.
Anyway.
It's illegal, it's an illegal business.
What they were doing was illegal. That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
No, okay, that's a whole nother discussion.
That has
Okay.
nothing to do with this.
I'm just
Okay.
trying to get you off of that.
Do
saying-
you need to, everybody has everyone seen the map? You've seen the map that Wes is talking. He
Johnny, I don't
actually
think Johnny
had a
knows.
map created, that showed that sort of the epicenter of this site that we're talking about, 300 feet around that. And as long as a parcel touches within that 300-foot boundary, it cannot be developed for any place that would serve alcohol. So there's a lot of property around that area that could be a great site for a restaurant, you know, or even the existing restaurants that are located near, if they ever wanted to serve alcohol, they would not be able to do that. So it does somewhat limit the ability to develop those sites within that 300-foot boundary, which is very important, as is, you know, the neighborhood aspect. So that's, but anyway, you can show Johnny the map. And,
Yeah, I got it in my truck.
yeah, and it makes sense, when you look at it, you'll be quite surprised, I think, by how many parcels touch that 300-foot boundary. So y'all can get together on that.
Okay.
Okay, any other comments, nothing about the Lucky Spa? Any other, Frank, you good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, all right. Back to Hunter, streetscape,
I think that we need to just be sure we get clarity on.
okay.
What I could do is go ahead and draft the proposed amendment to the ordinance, removing the 300-foot rule and going the,
Why don't you wait on that?
but if you're all gonna vote on something next
Yeah,
time,
next
I gotta
meeting.
have, I would need something for you all to look at from an ordinance standpoint.
Okay,
If you want
I
to
think
talk
we-
about it again.
Okay.
in
We need
the
to
No,
reg-
eliminate it
let's-
regardless of whether this one goes through or not, to me.
the
This
300-foot
particular
rule?
location, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, they can be two separate.
Okay, so that's what you're saying, you would draw that
I'll
up?
make it, I'll
Okay.
draw it up as we proposed tonight, and then if you all decide in December that you want to leave it as it is, as far as the residential portion of it,
Right.
then I can just make that change and we'll redo that,
Okay.
that portion of the audit ordinance.
Okay. Does that
But
sound
I'll have
okay,
it
everybody?
prepared that y'all be able to vote on it one way or the
Sure.
other.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Rob. All right, one more time. Hunter, go.
Now, in your packet is a memo regarding the bids received on Streetscape 3. And you see the two bids were $538,000 and some change, and then Mr. Blunt's bid was $720,000 and some change. In your packet is a letter of recommendation from Amet Wheeler regarding the low bid from Wimpy Enterprises Incorporated in the amount of $538,535.76. There's currently $489,500 available for the construction, and so it's about $50,000 over budget. We will match we had committed to match I believe is the 20% match, Jessica? There's a 20% match required. We were gonna be using the SPOS proceeds with.
And that's SPOS proceeds that are earmarked for downtown development. Is that correct?
No,
It's not?
we're using for, public works, street improvements.
Okay.
Well, what I would recommend would be some kind, at the DDA meeting, Tuesday, I believe it was, is, talk to them about the fact that they've got SPOS money that's set aside, and I know that they're focusing on the lighting project, and that's very important, but I think that's gonna come in substantially under budget from what Andy and discussed with the group. So I think at some level, we need to be working with the DDA on accessing their
Yeah, I agree with that.
capital funds, which really,
Yeah.
that's focused on the downtown area, even if we split it. Quite frankly, they've got a fairly large amount of money.
Well, I think we're providing quite a bit of resources on this project when it comes to ESG's expertise, when it comes to, numerous things. So I think it's only right that the
Just the
DDA.
contract administration,
Yeah.
Jessica, is
Yes.
just huge. I mean,
Yeah.
those things are incredibly
Yeah.
time.
So what do we need to do? Do we need to make a formal request that money come from the DDA SPOS fund, or how do we need to handle that, Hunter?
I think that would be,
I think so.
and I would not, I don't believe I would condition the bid on that.
No.
Just hold you up, but,
Yeah.
but that as, when you make your, recommendation or take your vote in 2 weeks, that a component of that would be, negotiate some level of assistance from the DDA from their
Right.
capital fund, SPOS fund for that.
Right. Okay.
So they need 50 grand, do they have 50 grand?
I think
Oh,
so.
really?
Oh, yeah, I think
I mean,
that's.
that's it. I mean,
I mean, I think it's about $1.3 million. If I'm reading the numbers right, unencumbered. Granted, they had been told a number of about $800,000, I believe, with the lighting project, but this is going to, again, I think, with ESG's work.
Right. That's going to come in significantly less than
Significantly
800.
less,
Yeah.
and that, we'll still have to use the SPOS money to pay ESG, but it's gonna be, I'm gonna think if the numbers are anywhere near right, it's gonna be 50–60%.
Sure.
And that still leaves them
Yeah.
a significant amount of money.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I don't see an issue with
Yeah,
that myself.
okay, very good. Do we need to do, well, I guess we can't do anything till we vote on it, so, okay.
Because you guys have your meeting before we meet next, right? You said Tuesday?
I think that's right, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But, no, not before.
No,
your-
actually, we won't meet
not-
again until
Not
until after
before your
next meeting.
December meeting, not
Yeah.
before your December meeting, and I think they don't even have a meeting in December, but normally, remember, they would meet before your next workshop, they won't meet before.
That's
your-
right, I think there is no meeting in December.
There's
Is there a
not,
way to
but-
call a special call meeting for DDA
We could.
to discuss that?
So does that need to happen before our meeting or after our meeting? Because we haven't asked for anything till we vote on it, so I guess.
Right, because I would like to know before, I would like to know before I vote.
Before our regular meeting in December.
Is that gonna stop us? So if they say no, is that gonna change your vote?
Well, we can just tell them to go back and
We just need to.
look,
work on
relook
that.
at their bids. I
I know what you're saying.
mean, we're having to come up with a bunch of money.
The councilman sales and I work on that, I mean,
Okay.
they know what a significant project this is.
Yeah.
And if we do it, we need to do it right, we don't need to be.
Right.
Gosh, I told them they've got $1.3 million, and we're gonna sit here and haggle about,
50 grand.
Yeah.
50 grand, I mean, that's a round and arrow, as much money as they've got.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not sure how difficult it will be to get a meeting together though with the holidays and everything, with Thanksgiving.
Can
and
you
all.
do a vote by proxy or something?
Yeah, I have to see. I'm not sure what the guidelines are. for
Guidelines
the
are.
DDA.
Well, let's just leave it in their hands.
City attorney to step outside.
What means like that?
I will.
We've been waiting for someone to issue that challenge for a while. No, all right, okay, well, we'll leave it in your capable hands and go from
Yeah, Hunter and
there.
I will talk
Let
about
us do that.
Okay, perfect, okay. All right, Hunter, you want to talk about the Moore Highway and E.B. Hamilton projects?
And this is one that Councilman Sales had mentioned, but you know that Mr. Dill was here at your not at the last meeting, but at your workshop, I believe it was the 20th, regarding those two parcels. And on the second page, you see the information that they had given us, and the state has allocated $600,000 for the construction of Moore Highway. You see their estimated cost of construction is $713,000, and then he did offer some additional. If it's 20% more than that, that's another 142. So it's going to be a large project. If you note, under the additional cost associated that Mr. Dale outlined was the survey and design by the engineer that's approved by Department of Transportation. And Jessica and I heard the same thing. We thought that he had mentioned at our workshop that it had been designed. I don't know if it's been designed and not paid for, those are some costs that that are gonna be on top of the construction. And remember that your DOT funds are for construction only. They didn't allocate any for these other.
Okay. And there is a meeting tomorrow morning, Wes is going to attend, with Jay Roberts from DOT and Roger Dill to talk about, not just these projects, but, evidently Roger's found some additional funding that can be used in some way, so they're gonna get together and discuss that, so there may be more information coming to us about these two.
And I think that would be helpful. But now we have not been contacted at all about the E.B. Hamilton. I mean, the only confirmation that we got, and it was the letter from the state regarding the Moore Highway.
Now, I noticed on this, and I guess I didn't pick it up when we went over this in the workshop, I was thinking that the E.B. Hamilton Road project was actually going to be from the interstate exit, that 2nd Street exit, all the way out to the park, to Rutland Road. Do you know, did I just misunderstand that, Hunter?
This is
Was
what
it
we've
just
got from
Carpenter?
Mr. Dale.
Okay.
Is it just says from
I think it goes to
Okay, I
Rutland
mean,
Road.
It just
okay,
says from Carpenter West.
Carpenter, Rutland.
okay.
So
I must
Carpenter
have
to Rutland,
misunderstood.
when does Carpenter come at the, oh, yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Now,
He said that, yeah, I just do, I mean,
I was saying, wait a minute, that's what, yeah, that's that new one.
We go out, we gonna, it's gonna.
So that's in the county, that's a county road, right? I mean, I'm not giving any money to a county road.
but that's kind of was.
And I don't think that's why we
on our
probably were
map,
told
it
about
looks like
that.
a county road. And again, DOT has not contacted us with us, so I'm assuming the reason we have not gotten notification
Just
of
because
this
it's
is
county.
they don't think it's a city road.
Right.
Yeah, I was wondering how much of this project's in the city.
Well, Moore Highway,
I mean, I know that part of Moore Highway is, I don't know if the whole thing is.
There's a little, and part of Moore Highway down by the dairy is not, and then there's a little piece where we annexed, the West Haven area, and then kind of across the street, you cross E.B. Hamilton Road, and we annexed that, but it doesn't look like we've annexed the road, because there's a block, you have to look at the map, there's a block from Carpenter Road to West Haven that isn't. So we went Carpenter Road, picked up West Haven, we didn't go down E.B. Hamilton to pick up West Haven.
right.
That makes sense.
Who chose the road to be, I guess, who decided that this $2 million ought to go to E.B. Hamilton Road?
Well, I think that was Roger.
Well, I think now, I'll say this on looking on the county aspect, E.B. Hamilton does, I mean,
And
there's a lot, it's a heavily trafficked.
It is, and that
road.
was their point, was that's a 2-lane road right now, and during softball and soccer season, when all those tournaments are going on, it is a nightmare.
It's crowded,
So to
yeah.
be able to alleviate some traffic flow.
And then more highway would be ABAC, so, I mean, I think we have a, you know,
It's like the.
iron in the
again,
fire, whatever you want, what cliche you want to put on it when we talk about more highway.
Jessica does know that you actually could use your LMIG money, for this. I mean, you could roll that into it. That, again, that just means you're not gonna be resurfacing city streets
Sure.
that need to be resurfaced. I mean, it's just.
Well, I know too that Dr. Bridges has mentioned many times the where 20th Street intersects into, is that Baldwin? Where it dead ends there,
Yeah.
how dangerous that intersection is, and that sort of needs to be reworked somehow. And anyway, so put that on your list, Pete, to think on that.
It's a
But
bad
that's my,
accident.
Yeah.
that's my point. I can appreciate Roger coming up
Sure.
and told all this
Yeah.
money and all, well,
Yeah.
except, oh, wait a minute.
All this money.
All this money is the
Yeah.
county.
Yeah,
And I mean, I realize.
Well, he's not
he-
asking us to pay for the
he's just asking for some
100
participation.
See,
That's-
yeah, he just wants some money. He's
Yeah.
not asking, so right now he's saying 713,583 is the estimated construction cost. They have 600,000. You know, we're going, I guess, end up somewhat splitting somehow or another. Right now, 113,500 is,
You have those additional costs.
You've got
Then you
your
have
addition-
engineering, you probably
you
have
got all kinds of-
200,000.
so we're saying there's, I
environmental-
thought it could be up to, is what it's.
Well, and
is.
Mm-hmm.
you'll be able to ask those questions in the morning. I
Yeah.
think that he'll be able to clarify some of that for us, so.
Yeah, I mean, really, I mean, because I mean, it's, y'all are kind of coming into, instead of the project formulation piece of it, I mean, there's somebody else has made the decision that this ought to be done, and they're just asking.
That's the point. I want to ask the first question. Does the money have to be spent on more highway right here? That might not be where we wanted, you know, if we're getting money from the state, I would
Well,
hope
and
that
this-
we have a little input versus Roger Deal deciding this is where it ought
But
to
this
be.
was money that was to be allocated, this was money that was allocated for the bypass or the truck route, so.
I understand that,
you
but
know.
somebody made the decision on spending money in the city for this, and we had no input whatsoever except, oh, wait a minute, can you add some money to it? Well, if we're gonna add some money to it, we might not choose to do that road right there.
Right.
Just so that-
I'll tell you what, maybe you would be a better person to go to that meeting than I.
You know, maybe, I don't know the
You're
design
calling
of it
them
either.
now.
I think, Wes, I think he has the design of more highway.
Yeah.
Must wonder if it's been paid for, I
But it's,
mean.
if it's anything like RDC Road, you know, that could be scaled down a little bit to bring that price down.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what comes from the meeting tomorrow morning.
I mean, I don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth,
No,
but
yeah, I understand.
Again, I mean, these are awfully expensive to, you just see, they're just expensive projects, and that's gonna be sales tax money that you don't do something
Something
like
else,
with.
yeah, take the place of
That's-
something else.
You just have to, y'all need to be making what's the value decision about
Right.
the use of resources. Now, Ms. Smith may, when we actually had lunch with Dr. Bridges a week or so ago, and it was my understanding that he was expected to substantially support this project, and I don't know what that means.
I mean, I do-
AVAC's gonna substantially support it?
That's what he, did I not understand that?
Yeah, I think they've got some skin in the game too. Now, what the ratios are, and I don't know.
That's
If
right.
it was to the tune of 250,000, we'll take it. I mean, that covers
They,
20%.
I will say on RDC Road, they allocated more than that to RDC Road.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
And it's a fine road, I mean, I can see that because it's their driveway, I mean,
Yeah.
it is
Yes.
incredible.
And with, all the work all the proposed expansion for AVAC, I mean, they get this. They
And
understand.
apparently, most of that expansion obviously is gonna be I guess that would be to the north, because it doesn't make sense that you're gonna put this wide new road to go out to the hog pile or
Right.
whatever you've got
Right.
there. The cows, I'm sure they could be pretty.
They'll appreciate
impressed.
that road to walk on.
So I'm
Okay.
just saying.
All right, any other comments, questions,
Well, we'll-
ideas for Wes?
Let us know what you find.
Well, I was gonna say, what does your schedule look like at 9 o'clock?
Well, I've got to meet with Harold Harper in the morning. It's probably done.
Well,
So,
what's your schedule, Jessica? I mean,
Jessica would be good. I'd be glad. What time do y'all meet?
it's at 9 o'clock at Jim Carter's office.
Yeah, I've got you.
And I've got to be in Atlanta with the Board of Education, otherwise I would be there.
I promised Harper. right?
Well, I mean, if neither one of you can, Jack, me and you could go.
I mean, if you want me to, I can.
Oh my gosh, what, nobody wanna go with me? Frank?
No,
John?
I've got a
Hey, God. What, smell or something? What is going on over
Take
here?
Jessica, she's in her
All right,
schedule.
Jessica, all right, me and Jessica will go.
You know what to ask Jessica, she'll remember what everybody said.
Yeah. She'll do a good job. She'll represent us very
We
well.
always remember what everybody says, don't worry about that.
All right, everybody good? Okay, so Wes and Jessica will go in the morning and
9
report
a.m.
back. 9 a.m. Okay, excellent, thank you. All right, Rob, you want to talk about the noise ordinance?
Yes, well, contrary to what your packet may say, I don't have a proposed ordinance.
Oh, okay.
We have Hunter and Jessica and Buddy and I met last week sometime to try to figure out what direction do we want to go in, what's best. And what we basically did was looked at the Athens ordinance with the idea that the Athens ordinance looks like a good starting point. And basically, the Athens ordinance provides for a plainly audible test, which means basically if you can hear it, then it's a violation. Now, according to Athens, between the hours of 7 a.m. through 11 p.m., Sunday through Thursday, and 7 a.m. through 12 o'clock midnight on Friday and Saturday, there's a 300-foot plainly audible distance. Then, when you get to from 11 p.m. through 7 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and 12 o'clock midnight through 7 a.m. on Saturday and Sunday, it's 100 foot. So basically, up to 11 o'clock or midnight, you have 300 feet, and after those times, then you have 100 feet. And so and that seemed to be, those cities that had distance requirements, that was fairly consistent. And I mean, I saw some that had like 50 feet. You know, but again, and Buddy, chime in anytime you want to, but, 100 feet, because I met with Buddy yesterday trying to figure out where do we need to go with this. Because we started talking about things such as outdoor music. The bistro might have a band on the deck, or, 41 in Maine. So in Athens, addresses outdoor music. In Athens, I mean, you gotta go get a permit from the police department to have outdoor music. 72 hours before you're gonna have outdoor music. I don't know if we wanna go that way or not, but if you're gonna have somebody playing on the patio of the bistro, and 11 o'clock comes around, 100 feet isn't far. Or even at 10 o'clock, 300 feet isn't that far. So you start thinking about, okay, what are you going to do about outdoor music and people playing out on their decks? Then you start thinking about, what about your residents and commercial downtown? Now, the way Athens handled this was that they said that, commercial enterprises, manufacturing, industrial, these distances don't apply to commercial businesses in the normal course of their business. But then they come back later and say, but it does apply to commercial businesses as it affects a residentially zoned district. So commercial enterprises, you can make all the noise you want to, except as it may affect a residential district. Now, and that's somewhat kind of what Valdosta did. Valdosta has different feet requirements based upon the type of property that's receiving the noise. So if you're a commercial property receiving the noise, the distance might be farther. Residential, it might be less. So I guess what I'm trying to figure out and maybe get some idea what you all are thinking about is, should our noise ordinance really be protecting residential properties, or should be protecting all the properties. And so when I started thinking about Athens, and it just applying to noise, being on residential property, I said, well, suppose, you got a business downtown, and somebody's across the street playing a bunch of loud music. I mean, Phil Perlers might want to complain about that. But I guess that may not be operating the normal course of business, so that might be taken out of that. So what I'm trying to get some idea from what you all are thinking about is how do we want to deal with like commercial downtown where people are living there? There's perhaps how we want to deal with outdoor music. I do believe that I think the 100-foot, 300-foot is a pretty reasonable amount. Johnny, there's another city that had one in there that's, I think it's Valdosta, that said you got to keep your doors closed except for ingress and egress, which I thought was also good. But I think I can put something together if we're trying to decide who are we trying to protect. I mean, I kind of like Athens. Because really, in my mind, aren't we really looking towards protecting residential properties from loud noises at night? And I think that if a commercial, industrial, manufacturing company is just operating the normal course of business, then you're probably not going to have annoying noises coming from those businesses. So, then I was thinking, well, if you're in commercial downtown and you decide to live in commercial downtown, well, you've made that decision, and that's part of the territory. So, with all that being said, what my thinking is, if y'all are in agreement, drafting something similar to Athens, pretty much protecting the residential property, having the 100-foot, 300-foot rule, and then I guess the only other question would really be, do we want to apply this to outdoor music? Let's use the deck there on the bistro. Is the bistro or the one next to it?
Yeah, but every weekend they have live entertainment there.
Yeah, so they're going to have, if they have live entertainment there, and we have a 100, 300-foot rule, I got to believe that that's going to be violated every time they have a band out there. So, is there something else that we want to do? When we have music at the park, that would, we would violate that noise ordinance. So is there something else we want to try to fashion that would help businesses downtown or wherever located to have music outside without running afoul of the 100, 300-foot rule? And I think that everything else I think I could probably fix, but that to me is a problem about how we can accommodate that aspect.
Yeah, I think what we're trying to do is get some relief for these people in this neighborhood that we're having to, hear at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, that constant bass thump. So, and you make a good point. I think when you're dealing with commercial downtown, you've made a choice to live there as a resident in this commercial district, which is important. Residential living in downtown is very important, but at the same time, you sort of expect that atmosphere if you're going to be living in a second floor loft, next to the bistro or something. So I think we want to be able to protect our downtown businesses, to be able to have live entertainment and outdoor entertainment. We've got a new restaurant coming in on Commerce Way, which will have a rooftop, bar setting, and I'm sure they'll have live music. So we don't want to restrict that.
We don't want to create more problems.
Right. But
So about how far away would we be? Let's say you take that new restaurant in Commerce, they would have a rooftop. Do you think that would be a residential property? Are we talking about a residential zoned district, or just like we went back with the tattoo, residential zone or residential use? Probably residential
I would say
zone
zone,
would be
personally.
It would
my.
have to be, I would
Yeah.
think. Otherwise, downtown, you have apartments like above
Right.
That's right.
Lackawanna and all that. That's right next
It's
to
right
the bistro,
there.
pretty much.
Yeah, it's right there. And those businesses downtown do respect, I think they stop their outdoor music, I think at 11 maybe, something
Midnight.
like that. I'm not sure, 11, 12, I don't know. But anyway, it doesn't go till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, I know that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And that was one of the things that, I guess, in Athens, it goes to midnight on Saturday and Sunday. Is that appropriate? I mean, I think, could,
I think so.
otherwise it's 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. and then or up to midnight.
No, I was being serious. I mean, we're either gonna be,
I know.
I mean, they're downtown. If we're gonna be business friendly, let's don't go put some more restrictions on these people. But without asking.
If there
them.
already is sort of an implied midnight, isn't it, a midnight, when do we stop Rhythm and Ribs? Is it at 10? Okay. So I think there
When
already
do they have to
is.
stop serving alcohol? There's
Two.
Two.
and then they can stay in there another hour.
I mean,
I don't think they do that downtown right now, though.
Yeah.
I mean, it's,
yeah.
But I
I'm
would
just curious, were they actually staying past 12, or was it past 11? What, you know, because a lot of these places, these banging and stuff, they cut off at a certain time anyway.
Right.
So 11 o'clock on weekdays, basically, and midnight on weekends?
And if they're inside and it's not permeating out, it's not an issue. It's only if it gets loud.
Well, that's true, Julie, because
So-
I mean, and that's, like I said, this provision about us says the door's gotta be closed, you
Right.
can't prop it open except for ingress and
Right.
egress.
That sound
That's
good?
good.
Let's
That's-
look
I
at
mean,
that.
Thank you. See, that's what happened, that's what happened down
Yeah.
at Santos.
Yeah.
The doors come. Oh, but the doors are, excuse me, the doors are closed generally all the time. But the noise comes when they, maybe if they close it say, at 2 o'clock, and they cut off the alcohol sale, that means that they're closing, and the doors come on. There comes the noise.
Mhm.
That's the issue that we're having on Cotton Street and Douglas Street.
Yeah.
It's not an all-night thing. It's just a little thing that, and really, to be honest with you, I think the office that we had that you're working on there is gonna work for those people. Because it's not, you don't have it at 12 o'clock. You might hear, maybe 1 o'clock, you hear the, but at 2 o'clock when they start to close, when they
Why-
start to open the door.
Well, then the music should cut off at 2.
Well-
Alcohol cuts off at 2, the music shuts off at 2.
But, and that's good.
But even they were saying from midnight till 2 is frustrating to hear
Yeah.
that noise.
No, no, Johnny was saying that they can put up with it at 12.
Yeah, so at 12, but like what you just said, if you cut the alcohol off, cut the music off. Because once those doors come over at 2 o'clock, but it's on now. I'm telling you. And then it takes them another 30 minutes to an hour to completely shut down, so we'll talk at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Cut the music off at 2.
Buddy's got a comment.
And if you're talking about alcohol, what if they have a restaurant license, they're not required to close it off?
If they have a what?
He's saying shut off the bar, or when the bar shuts down, shut the use down. What if they have a restaurant license? They're not required to shut that at all.
They're not required to shut the,
So we have it, where is that happening?
Lodge Trailer.
What if it does, when you come out here to Commerce Way, put a restaurant there, what if you made it all night long? I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah.
You can't time alcohol, what I'm saying. We specifically changed the alcohol ordinance a few years ago because they were losing money. Because last fall at 2 o'clock, you gotta have time to finish your beer, whatever you got, so they gave them another hour. So saying that 2 o'clock you quit serving, you're closed, that was not the perfect order to begin with. Right?
But if you have the 100-foot rule, then, you know, and they keep the doors closed, then you shouldn't have a problem, I wouldn't think.
Right.
But and if they keep the door open, then they're violating the ordinance because the door's open and
Well,
you
and
can hear it.
I would be, Valdosta and Athens, particularly Athens, has a very vibrant nightlife and so if that seems to be working for the city of Athens, I'd be very interested in how.
Well, and I think that Athens, to its credit, I mean, usually when you get something out of Athens, it's pretty long.
Yeah.
This is concise, it's, covers everything to the point, and there's just a few things that I would probably want to stick in from Valdosta, like the, keep the doors closed. And
Right.
I think this would be a pretty good, something we can, I'll bring before council in December. We can take a look at it, and see if it'll work.
So is, where Santos is that general business, zone general business?
Yes.
So it's residences in a general business area.
Yeah, because that's on South 41.
No.
See, theoretically, you could have a business right next door to a residence. And I don't know if there's anything that I can do about that.
Yeah, there's gonna be, the line's gotta be somewhere between a business and
Oh,
the
I
next,
understand.
you know.
I mean, there's some responsibility
Yeah.
for the residents
Yeah.
if they go locate next to a business. I mean, there's just different from nothing but a residential area where there's no business is different from somebody that lives right next to a business. You're gonna, I don't know, we'll ever satisfy those people.
No, but we can,
I
Well,
mean, we can try, but I think it's different from
Yeah.
some opening that, you know.
what Rob's saying, if you're located within with that 100 feet or that 300 feet, you really can't do, we can't do anything about that. So if your house is within 100 feet,
you're just stuck.
You're just stuck.
yeah.
And I did take a look at
Is
the
anything
pub.
past them?
And I mean, it
Yeah.
looks like, you know, you do have, our residential behind it and across the street from it.
Mhm.
But, I mean, that's almost gonna be close to 100 feet.
Yeah.
But I don't foresee that as being an issue.
Poplar Street is right there.
Yeah.
That's the thing, because those are on Poplar, from Santos up to Poplar Street. And what's the other? 300 feet room. And just,
Yeah.
I mean, it could be
Well,
less. I mean, you could have it less than 100 feet.
Let's look at, put something together on that, and let's look at that, so,
Yeah, let's
okay,
do that.
okay. Any other questions about the noise ordinance? Okay, yeah, let's move on. All right, Buddy, you want to talk about the bids for the police units? Well, will you talk about the bids for the police units? Oh, I don't know.
Pursuant to y'all's instructions the last meeting, I have rebid the vehicles. We've already had our pre-bid meeting, and we will open the bids Monday the 28th. And hopefully by lunch, I'll have these numbers to Mr. Walker, and he can disseminate them as he sees fit.
Excellent. See, that was short and sweet and to the point. Very good. Any questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, Jessica, we have a lot of applications.
let's get them all over.
Go.
All right. The first one, 41 in Main, they're actually adding the catering. They're the first business to add catering this year. Inmark, they have a new manager, and all of these are good. They've been signed off by staff, and they're approving them for, we don't have anyone that we're denying. First Choice, that's a new ownership. That's the Esco's on 5th Avenue. It's going to be under new ownership January the 1st. Harvey's Supermarket, they have a new manager. Flash Foods, they also have a new manager along with CVS. JR Foods, they also had to add a manager, a new manager and everything checked out. And Logan's Roadhouse, they had a change in their licensee. Basically, their corporation officer changed. So, and staff is approving all those applications, and we did put them on a special call meeting agenda because some of these are going to have to go to the state for routing to have it in order to begin January the 1st.
Okay. Any questions about those applications? All right. Seeing none, that concludes our workshop, and we will call to order the special called meeting, and that agenda is on the back page of our agenda. We have the resolutions that Jessica's just discussed. Do we need to take those individually, or can we take them all together?
All together, it's fine.
I move we approve them all.
Do we have a motion? There's a motion and second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed? Okay, so those all pass. And now I will take a motion to go into executive session to discuss personnel and legal matters.
So moved.
Okay, Johnny, give me a
Second.
second. Okay, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, take just a second, and we will go into executive session.